Welcome to another YouTube maths video. This video is going to be looking at the decimal task where I asked you to order decimals and then do some part wholes. Now I'm going to give you a slightly different list of numbers to the list I gave you so that I can show you how to do it. So I had a series of 6 decimal numbers and I'm going to write 6 decimal numbers at the top of my page here. And I firstly asked you to order them. Now, the thing we need to do whenever we do any ordering number is we need to look at the columns. So I'm going to put these into columns. So I'm going to start by putting tens, ones, I'm going to have hundreds up here. Now we know hundreds, tens and ones, we know these pretty well and we know how important our columns are. We're not actually going to need to use the hundreds and tens on this question because you'll notice there are no hundreds and tens. But the reason I put the hundreds and tens there is to show you a pattern. Because ones are our base unit. Now if we make it 10 times bigger we get tens. If we make a 10 times bigger we get 100. We can also go 10 times smaller and you'll notice you show less than 1 by putting a decimal point in. This is really important. Now if I go 10 times less than 1, it has a similarity to the tens here. It's 10 times smaller, so we call it tenths. And you'll notice why I showed you the hundreds and tens here, because if we go 100 times smaller we get hundredths. So you'll notice with ones in the middle, you go tens and tenths, hundreds and hundredths. That is really helpful. Now, let's write all of our numbers that I've got for you here. Notice that I'm going to line up their columns perfectly. And I'm always making sure that I have this lovely line of decimal points going down. Notice on 5.30 I don't actually have to write the hundredths in because there are no hundredths. You could write 5.3 and that would be the same. And we just scroll up. I've got 5.43, 5.23 and 5.04. Okay, so I have my columns there. Now the columns help me sort out. Now we always know if we're looking for the smallest to largest number, we start by the biggest column possible and see which one has the least. Well, we have no hundreds and tens here, so the first column we have is they're all in the ones column. So we look down there and notice that all of them have 5 ones except for 4.24. So that is going to be my smallest number, 4.24. That one's done, so I can tick it off or I can cross it out. And I look at the rest to go, alright, what's going to be the next smallest one? Now they all have 5, so that's no help at all. So I then have to move over to the tenths. And of all the ones that have 5, this one has no tenths. So it has 5 ones, but no tenths. So this is my next smallest one. Now again, all the ones left have 5 ones, so I'm looking at the tenths. Well, this has just 2. So 5.23 is my next one. Let's just take that one out. Oh, notice on these ones I now have 3 numbers left. 2 of them have 3 tenths, 1 has 4 tenths. So I know it's one of the ones with 3 tenths. And on this occasion I have to go to the hundredths as well. And I notice this has less hundredths than the top one. So 5.30 must go next. Then it must be 5.34. And then finally, that just leaves 5.43. Now you'll notice in all the numbers that begin with 5, the tenths go up in order. The only time it doesn't, of course, is here, but this is because it only has 4 ones. So it didn't actually matter what tenths it had here. It could have had 9 tenths and it still would have been at the bottom. It could have been 4.99 and it would have been at the bottom because it only had 4 ones. So that's how to order them. But I also asked you to do some part whole models for me. So I'm just going to scroll up and I'm going to take one of those numbers. And the number I'm going to work, firstly I'm going to draw my part whole model. So there is my whole. Here are my parts. Let's join them together. I'm going to start with the number 4.24. Now, my number here has ones, a decimal point, tenths and hundredths. So this one is going to show my ones. This is going to show my tenths and this is going to show my hundredths. So I have 4 ones, that's easy. I just write the number 4. That is the easiest bit so far, because I can cover it all up and say, oh, I've just got 4. Now the next one shows 2 tenths. Now if I just write down the number 2, that doesn't work, because now it looks like I've got the number 6 overall. It's just 2 tenths. So I could put a decimal point here, which tells you it's less than 1, but I do need to put a placeholder. And I put a 0 here. Now imagine we were working in hundreds, tens and ones, and I said, oh, can you do 2 tens? You would have put 2 0 for 20. So when you do 2 tenths, you also have a 0 and a 2 in there, but it goes 0.2. And finally, I have 4 hundredths. Now, if I had 400, I would put 400. I'm going to need 2 zeros and I'm going to need a 4, but the 4 hundredths goes here. A placeholder goes where the tenths would be. I have to have my decimal point, and a placeholder goes where the 1 would be. You'll notice 4 tenths and 400 are almost the opposite way round. So if you flip that around and didn't have the decimal point, you'd have 4 hundredths. But there we have 4 hundredths. I hope that has helped. Have a go. Let me know how you get on. And as always, keep learning.